Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Sunday, September the 2nd, and welcome to our video commentary. Well, today we're going to do a little history. We're going to go back to September the 1st and September the 2nd, and what these 2 days have in common is World War II. And let me tell you what I mean. On September the 1st, 1939, that was the day that Germany invaded Poland. And many people believe that was really the beginning of World War II. Prior to 1939, the UK and France and other countries had tried to negotiate with Hitler. They did certain things to try to work out agreements with Hitler, but everything kind of fell apart in 1939, September the 1st, 1939, when Germany went into Poland. And of course, after that came, a lot more the bombings of London. Eventually, the Germans went into the Soviet Union. They went into Stalingrad. I mean, I think all of us remember that from our history books. And that entire World War II, at least the European portion of the war, ended in May of 1945 when Germany unconditionally surrendered. Now, September 2nd is a little different. September 2nd is when the Japanese formally surrendered in Tokyo Bay, when the emperor signed the agreement on that ship, the USS Missouri. By the way, I just learned something today about that. That John McCain's grandfather was on that ship when the Japanese surrendered to the United States. I thought that was a very interesting detail, and just another example of how the McCain family has been a part of American military history for such a long time. So the Germans eventually surrendered in May of 1945, the Japanese on September 2nd, 1945, and that was kind of the end of the war. At that point, of course, came the occupation of Japan and other things, the rebuilding of Europe, the Marshall Plan eventually, the rebuilding of Japan. But it was September 1st, 1939, when World War II began, when Germany went into Poland, and September 2nd, 1945, when it finally ended, when Japan surrendered to the United States. So the longest, not the longest, but certainly one of the most brutal wars in history began on September 1st, 1939, and finally ended on September 2nd, 1945. By the way, just for those of you who follow my podcast, we have a series of shows that we did with Barry Jacobson. We did it for World War I, and then we did it for World War II. They're available in my blog. If you type in World War I or World War II, you'll be able to find them. Great shows that we did with Barry, as all of you know who are familiar with Barry's work. He's quite a military historian, knows a lot about war and history of war, and I always thought that was one of the best things that we did as far as podcast. The history of World War I and then the history of World War II with Barry Jacobson. So if you're interested in these things, check it out. I think you'll find that to be rather interesting. We have all of these videos on my YouTube account, as well as Twitter, as well as in my blog. And if September 2nd is your birthday, happy birthday. Bye-bye, everybody.